Just do one of those.
But don't you need KL to talk about K-pop?
Yeah, I'll just save it for the end whenever you reach. Anyways. That bot is way too soft, but I just can't run with it. There we go. Get the last couple of notes. More and peace, love, and happiness. Welcome to BTA Podcast, episode number 32. My name is Ali, and I am joined by Rajiv.
Hello.
Lachlan and Sharma.
Oh, we just get together?
Yes.
Rajiv gets his own introduction. No, it's just Lachlan and Sharma.
Rajiv,
So
Sharma,
are you
Lachlan, and
are you mad
Sharma.
about that, Lachlan?
No,
What
I
the
don't
hell?
mind being with you. I'm mad that it's like if we moved into a place and they got all these rooms, and then you and I were forced to share a room while Rajiv gets the entire room to himself.
Okay,
Do you want to share
but
a
like
room?
if
that
you
would
read
be
the
unfair.
sentence, Rajiv, comma,
Exactly.
Lachlan and Sharma.
No,
Right.
but you said Rajiv, and then you paused, and then you bundled together and
Wait,
Lachlan and Sharma.
Because
Ali,
when you
don't
see a
use-
comma in a sentence,
Ali,
you
don't
pause.
use the Oxford comma.
Yeah, that was the combo.
Rajiv, comma, Lachlan and Sharma.
But that's also not how you usually do introductions, because you said Rajiv, and then you gave Rajiv
Oh
ample time to
gosh,
introduce
okay.
himself.
I am a tree
Okay.
on the candy at the moment. Okay.
Okay, Lachlan, I'm going to put someone in chat and you need to read it for me, right? Go ahead.
Right now?
Go ahead. It's right there.
It's a comma.
What do I mean, Lachlan?
You don't understand what I'm saying. Head ass. I'm a 7.
Nikolai is a 6, apparently.
Head ass, but also I feel very positive.
I had a mostly good day.
I'm feeling a 6. Sure.
Yeah, also a 6.
I
We're
don't
all
eat pretty
6s
day,
today.
but I'll do that
What the
after.
fuck? Oh, people eat something.
No, I have food in the fridge. I just have to go heat it up after.
Eat. Why the fuck you out here not eating?
Because I wake up late.
What
How
time you
late
wake up?
is late? Yeah, how late?
I can't even remember.
Oh my god.
Just go eat a pack of cracks or something. Damn.
I have like cookies and
Oh,
shit
eat
on the
that
desk.
something and you come out, you dumbass.
Aren't you
because
literally
we'll
eating marshmallows right now?
No, I had 2 marshmallows like an hour ago, and my stomach kind of upset. But I've
Wait.
been eating all day.
2 marshmallows and I got you upset?
It was more like 5.
Look, when you have
Oh.
a fucking like tape room or something.
I actually don't think it is the marshmallows. I think I've just been feeling off lately. But I ain't the point. The point is why you ain't eating.
Again, no time. And like I have food in the fridge that I can
Can't you-
heat up. Like I'm going to get food like right after. It's fine.
No, you could just, crack open a cold one with the boys. And by a cold one, I mean a cold can of Chef Boyardee.
I ran out to Chef Boyardee. I have to go to Walmart again.
How have you been surviving then?
That's a good question. But yeah, this week's episode brought to you by the following struggle tweet. Rajiv and Lachlan, go ahead.
I slept for over 24 hours. I feel refreshed.
Lol, Jesus did it for 72. You ain't special. And it's the link for Kirby and Drip.
Oh. Read out that URL.
Do not read out the fucking URL.
https://
What did I just see?
www.youtube.com/watch ? V equals TQ capital M capital B capital M dash capital F capital Z capital G lowercase g.
Okay, but what possessed you to like do that to Rajiv?
It was Easter. That was legit it. It was like that message got sent. It was Easter, so I was like, wouldn't it be funny? And then like I came across the Kirby and Drip Plan video like a few seconds later, and I was like, I'll just send this.
But it makes you look like a gigantic douchebag because it's like
Yeah,
right
that was the
after.
point.
Thank you, Kirby.
Thank you, Kirby.
Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at BTA Struggle TWT as some more Struggle Tweet content.
Oh, look, it's scale.
He's
Yeah.
in the chat.
The main
Yeah, everybody just in the fucking chat vibing. We should do an episode like that. It's just entirely silent. You have to
Okay,
really...
but then that's not good for our blind viewers.
Yeah. I don't know if we have any of those.
We have viewers that wear glasses, and that's basically the same thing. I'm sorry. That was disrespectful. I shouldn't make those types of jokes. I humbly apologize.
Yeah, you in a
Majority of the
chat with like,
class
yeah, a bunch of
is
glasses wearing
glasses.
people.
A bunch of blind ass bitches.
Okay, listen, I only need them to like see far away, right? I can see
Wow.
otherwise.
Wow, it's crazy. You need them.
Fuck you. I only need them to drive, and I don't drive, right? It's fine.
My vision like last year.
Have I told that story before about how I had to like cheat to get my learner's permit?
No, please do.
Oh, okay. So when you go to do the sign up thing to get your learner's permit, right? There's the questionnaires that you have to fill out. What I didn't expect was that they randomly had like an eye chart thing. And they were like, okay, cover one eye, read this out. Up until that point, I assumed I had 20/20 vision because I didn't notice like any discrepancies within my vision. Wasn't until you cover one eye and you start trying to read shit and you're like, wait a minute, I can't fucking read this. That's supposed to be legible to me right now. And like I was struggling for like a good 30 seconds before the lady was like, okay, what you could do, switch to the other eye and see if that makes it better. I already know this is probably not gonna go well for me. If this one eye not that good, probably the other one not gonna be good either. So while I am uncovering my eye, I open the eye, and with both eyes open, I memorize the line that I'm supposed to read. Then I switch over to covering the other eye, and I still can't fucking read the line, but because I memorized the letters, I just rattle them all off, and I pass the eye test that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got my learner's permit.
Yeah, we don't condone this behavior. The server holds no responsibility for
No,
any
yeah, like,
casualties Ali causes.
Do not drive. I've only ever gotten a car through like one driving lesson. And I don't think it's a big deal even if I did drive because like it would help me see like faraway signs.
That's very important.
Faraway signs, like close ones I can read.
I feel like full cognition is very important when you're driving because you
Okay.
never know what's going to come out of anywhere.
The point is, right, like I am basically almost 20/20, right? It's like right there.
If you were 20, you could read that damn line.
It's very specific situations you have to put me in where like my vision fails, right? I'm not like fucking blind without glasses, right? Anyway,
Yeah, that's true.
that was my story.
I mean, I also kind of cheated on my learner's permit test,
Holy
but like,
fuck.
in my defense, I did actually study the material. There's just that like in the room in Barbados, the Barbados Licensing Authority, the room where you do the test, there's like for whatever reason, there's like a giant like sign on in front of the room that has like all the signs and then has it like covered with a white sheet of paper. But you can still like squint and see through the sheet of paper to see what's under. Because I think the signs are visible, but the names are not. But you can still like squint and see the names through like the pieces of paper anyway. So like I had actually, okay, to be fair, I had actually studied all the signs. So I had all the signs memorized. I just used that to double check.
Lachlan, this is way worse than mine.
Also, no, because I actually you're like cheating, pretending to not be blind, so
I'm
that
not
you can
blind to begin with.
Okay, I just verified information that I already knew
Then why do you need to verify?
because I am an overly paranoid person. Have you met me? I
don't
will
know,
double check.
Lachlan. Sounds like you in the
anything.
exam room, sweating, praying to God to help you like pass that test.
And you know what? He sent a sign. God is good.
He didn't send a sign. The people who set up the fucking room sent the sign.
Well, you know what? Signs were sent.
Imagine, like they went through the effort of like putting something over the sign instead of just taking on the fucking sign.
Yeah, that's the thing that had me. Because this is all. To be fair, this is also the second time I was doing the test because I failed the first time. So like if I had realized that the first time, I would have been like, oh well, I probably could have just done this and maybe actually pass. But like, I don't know. I just saw that there. And I was like, this is real dumb. This
What
is
do
so
you
stupid.
mean you
Wait,
failed the first time?
you reacted that like 30 seconds later. I failed my learner's permit test the first time.
Oh.
We just have our learner's permit test is just written, and I didn't get enough marks.
Right, ours is too. And it seems like the same shit that they ask. Like, what could be fundamentally different about it?
Probably nothing.
You were the first person I've ever met who has failed that written test.
Yeah, my dad said the same thing.
Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the only person that I know that's done it. Like, I have a friend who's also like failed and like he had to take his driver's test a bunch of times though. But like, I probably shouldn't be comparing myself to him, given stuff. But anyway, yeah, I failed the first time. I came back later. I did the second time and I passed. It's whatever.
Y'all just doing anything in Barbados, bro.
You know what? I have my driver's license and you don't.
Okay, but that's because I actively decided to stop pursuing it.
Oh damn! You just don't want convenience then. Imagine having to go hang out with someone and be like, "Mommy, I gotta get dropped this place."
No, see, the thing is, right? Like, I live next to the bus route back home,
Mhm.
so it's just really easy to get a maxi to go anywhere. And the only
Oh,
places
yeah.
I was ever actually going is like UE or QREP.
That's fair. We also don't public transportation in Barbados isn't like that great because we're like not as big, and I don't know
Right.
bus routes. So I don't really like catch bus or anything. I think I've actually caught a bus once in my life. So
Nice.
yeah.
No, like the priority bus route is incredibly convenient.
Mhm. Good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Anyways, we could get into the topic list now, I guess.
Mhm.
Lachlan, you have a
What?
story about a cult leader.
Okay, he's not fully a cult. He's a religious leader who gives off very culty vibes. It's been, like I said, it's been a minute since I like read since I reminded myself of all the details. But the basics of the story is that there was this church in the north of Barbados that randomly got busted for like continuing to have sermons. And I remember like when it first broke, it was basically saying that like this guy here, the leader, Apostle Scantleberry or whatever, he was basically telling people to come to the church in secret due to this belief that COVID apparently could not penetrate the church because of like God's power or whatever. And like he was basically telling people like, oh, keep coming to church, COVID can't reach you here, like, God protects you or whatever. And then when it broke, there were like 20 confirmed cases from the church alone. Plus, like, I think there was like 63 people in like the church at once. A bunch of people, there was like 20 confirmed cases that got hit at once. And then when those 20 confirmed cases got confirmed, this man came forward and was like, yeah, those cases were planted, which doesn't make any sense. And yeah, as like time's gone on, there's been more and more like information about the man in question and like the situation. Like in this article, I remember like there's certain things where like it was talking about how there's possibly a lot more people who probably had COVID that like weren't reporting it because he was actively telling people not to go get tested. He was also telling people that if you have to go get tested, put like this thing in your nose because that will like cause the COVID results to come back negative. So a lot of people were like barricading themselves in their houses, like not going to get tested because like he told them not to get tested. And like all this stupidness. And there's also like videos that have been going around of him as well, where he's been like speaking on like certain issues. There was one where he was like, oh, COVID was how it's not actually a virus. It's what did he say it was? It's not a virus. It's it's like demonic spirits or something that are coming through and like sweeping through people or something like that. Yeah, so he was like giving like all of this like stuff, like saying like, oh, it's not a virus, it's like this and that. He's also, of course, been like accusing Mia Motley of like corruption. The last update video like I saw on this was like a video of him talking to his congregation where he was insisting that the Lord spoke to him. That's another thing. He likes to say like talk about how like the Lord spoke to him about like his son's church. I've heard people say that he thinks he is like a Messiah or like the second coming of Jesus or something. I don't know about that. I don't know how valid those like are. But he always like in every video he's always like, oh, the Lord spoke to me tonight and like this is what the Lord told me and thing. And he was talking about how the reason that Barbados kind of had like that second wave that like messed up everything again was that apparently Mia Motley opened up the island to allow tourists back into the island as a way to reinflate case numbers so that we could get a second lockdown. So that second lockdown, because I believe like, if we got a second lockdown, that would qualify us for funding from like someplace. And he was basically like, spilling all this propaganda about how like, yeah, Mia Motley did all this because she wanted to like I guess like get money. Basically was like explaining like, oh, the government's corrupt. They're doing all this for Barbados. They're doing all this to get money, and all that like stuff that Bajans very easily eat up, especially like those very religious Bajans. Like to me, like one of the things about this case that really pisses me off is just the fact that like you see these types of like overly like religious like extremists in like the States and stuff, and Bajans are always like the first people to like point at it and be like, yo, like, like only Americans can be this stupid, like these things don't happen here. But then like you still have situations like this come up. And like I know Bajans, I know especially like elderly Bajans, there's a lot of like really old, really religious Bajans that would go along with something like this. So this story is like not surprising. it's just I hate that like they're gonna be the first people who are gonna be like, oh, like we're not like Americans or anything, and like literally, if this story had come out in America, it would be like, oh, these dumb white people. But like it's very much like a thing. To me, it's just very telling of the fact that like we're very similar, but like a lot of Asians just kind of neglect that. And also, of course, it shows a lot of like the dangers of like I think like religious bodies that like kind of just affront to science and like don't pay attention to like science or scientific fact. But also just the fact that like this isn't even like a major religion from what I've heard. Like I don't think I've heard of like this specific denomination of Christianity, and from what I've gathered,
Which one?
it's basically just like that's why a lot of people are saying it just feels really culty because it just feels like he is like a church leader who's like stringing along all these people, giving them all these directives and telling them that it's like
what's the name of the denomination?
it's somewhere in the article, but I can't remember. Oh, let me go into the article real quick. Is the World Harvest Ministries International Church.
Yeah, that does sound made up.
Yeah.
World Harvest. What does that even mean?
I don't know if that's like just like the site of it, but like that seems to be the name of like
That
whatever
could
that
be like the
denomination is.
church name. I don't know.
I don't know because it says World Harvest International, so that I feel like that's probably even if that's not the name. I do remember the name sounding very suspect the first time I heard it. I'm just thinking, yeah, this can't be legit. Rajiv, you must be explaining the entire situation.
Yeah, Rajiv just like randomly dipped.
Yo,
Welcome
Yeah.
back.
I went for food.
Oh, nice.
Oh. TLDR, super religious guy, held church in the middle of a pandemic. When cases started showing up, told people to not get tested or to fake test to pass. And then also started spitting some propaganda about how the Lord spoke to him, about how COVID is actually like a demonic spirit, and how Mia Motley basically opened up the island so that we could have a second lockdown and get money.
Huh.
Also, the church is very much not legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't
It's
Joel
just
Osteen say some shit like that the other day too?
who?
Joel Osteen. Osteen. How do you pronounce it?
I don't know who that is.
He's the one with the mega churches be on TV.
Oh gosh, probably. I
Yeah.
don't know. All those religious extremists are kind of like the same to me. It's just annoying that like they show up in Barbados when Bajans will like be the first to act like these types of things don't happen. I don't know. It's like I feel like there's a lot of like aspects of like Bajans that kind of annoy me, especially with like the whole small island mentality. And that is kind of a thing where like Barbadians like to act like they are like, this like I don't want to say super race, but like Bajans like to act like they are like favored in the world. Like the number of times I've heard people say the term "God is a Bajan" just because like
Oh
things.
wow! Why does this
Yeah, I
sound
feel
so familiar?
you've probably heard it before. Like anytime there's like a disaster, like a hurricane or something that skips over Barbados, that tends to come up. I just feel like a lot of Bajans have. Oh god, this is trying to turn into a rant against my people. I'm sorry, Barbados, but like I feel like, especially with such a small island, a lot of Bajans have this big sense of self-importance and just feel like they just are in some way like above other countries. I think in part because like they're so small, but then they're also just very ignorant to like issues that exist within their own country and issues that exist like around them. This is another discussion I was having with like someone yesterday, but like that's a whole other thing, and I don't need to get into that. We're talking about religion right now. But yeah, thoughts?
Make you feel, Ali.
What's up?
Why does this feel so vaguely familiar? I'm getting a sense of deja vu from what Lachlan just
So
said.
yeah, like I think it was either Joel Osteen or somebody else who said something very similar to the things Lachlan was saying. I was trying to think of it too. But yeah, you're onto something. I'm trying to remember who it was.
I mean, I feel like this definitely isn't the first time this has happened, because like knowing how people are, okay, it's like this can't be the first instance of something like this. It's just the fact that it's notable is just the fact that it came out of Barbados.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good talk, guys.
No, the thing is, right, like we've seen time and time again about how religion is used as a tool to influence and manipulate people.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep waiting until, like, when will somebody just, like, snap out it and realize, hey, this is a bunch of horse shit, right?
It happens more and more every generation, but like I feel like there are different levels to religion where there is like the good to it and the bad to it. I just feel like, especially with like the older Bayesians, because Barbados is a very aged population. And like with a lot of like the older Bayesians, a lot of them kind of grew up not really knowing any better and not being told to question it. And so a lot of them just have that like blind faith in religion and whatnot.
No, yeah, like I don't
And
have problems with people being religious. That's definitely not it.
yeah.
What I think is like because there are
Mhm,
definitely bad actors who are out there to use
mhm.
religion for their own personal gain. Like, how are people not getting better at spotting these bad actors?
Yeah, especially like I feel like I can say this, especially since like I'm Catholic, which means like I am probably the like of the denominations that are like known for the manipulation of like information, manipulation of people. That's like the chief one, and so like I feel like I don't know. Religion to me is like a deeply personal thing, and I take it very personally. But I also do acknowledge that, especially throughout history within my own religion, there's plenty of people that have misused religion for their own personal gains,
Yeah,
like several popes and whatnot. So yeah, we like to add like corruption doesn't like religion definitely does invite some kinds of corruption and then creates people like this. I don't know. A lot of what I've heard about this guy is just the fact that people like to insist he's very charismatic. From the videos I saw, that's not really the case, but it just kind of show that like anyone who is loud enough and can garner enough attention, people will start to believe. And I just don't like that. Like people will believe anyone with a loud enough voice and a strong enough opinion.
Once you say it convincingly enough, someone will believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It's just
Especially if their preconceived biases, want them to believe you.
right.
yeah, like, growing up with a dependence on religion.
Anyway, good to move on.
I guess so. I just
Yeah,
felt like sharing.
or anything.
Okay.
All right. I mean, like all of the topics except for the K-pop one are just all COVID. So, segue.
COVID episode.
Yeah. Yesterday, this article I posted earlier. You have a statement from Watson Duke, and basically he was questioning if Dr. Keith Rowley actually contracted COVID because that was big news the other day. That
Mhm.
yeah, Keith Rowley got COVID, and he was, he's like part of that at-risk population. He is an elderly man, right? More often than not, we see elderly people being affected by COVID symptoms and so on. But he recovered. He's doing well. And now Watson Duke is saying, yeah, that was not true. Raleigh did not have COVID. He wanted a vacation. And his evidence is that it killed community leader Cedric Burke, COVID did, but it didn't kill Raleigh, and he was wondering how that was possible. And just like top to bottom, it's just a load of shit. Sharma
Yeah.
felt very passionately about this Renaissance test. Oh my god. Like, if you think that any part of like that statement from Watson Duke made sense, then I need you to like really think about what you believe and like re-examine what you actually know about COVID.
I think oh, sorry, finish.
No, you got.
No, I think like to me it kind of just comes from the fact that like, he's a politician and like a lot of
Yeah,
people that like work in I don't know, especially that's kind of reminds me of like that whole humanities versus like STEM subjects debate that used to exist, especially a lot back when I was in like secondary school. But like I feel like from my understanding, the biggest problem that like people who work in like sciences have with like humanities people is just the fact that like they don't really like to pay attention to the facts. And this is kind of evident here. This is especially true in politics, I think, because politicians tend to be very self-serving, and scientific fact isn't really something you can argue. And
right.
so oftentimes a lot of people will make really dumb points like this based on like their own perceptions of the world, not understanding that like there's a lot more like complicated science behind it. It's just yeah, I feel like that's just why you oftentimes see like a lot of politicians just saying like the dumbest things that like are affront to science.
Yeah, they want to see like who can latch on. Like, it's very intentionally reactionary politics, but like the problem is that yeah, people will latch on to this like thinking. Like, people will believe this bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like Trinidad has people that will believe this as just true. I would hope that the majority don't, But there's always going to be people who look at this and think, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I believe this now. And it's going to negatively affect people overall in Trinidad and Tobago when more and more people believe things like this.
Yeah.
There's no real benefit to seeing things like this other than personal benefit.
How does he even personally benefit from it? Like, who's winning from this?
I guess like he increases his own reputation, like public confidence in him grows if people believe his whatever this is. At
Is he in
least
the
by
opposition
default,
party?
right? Like maybe it's not even like raising his
No, he's doing something.
no, but like
Wait.
we see like mudslinging in politics all the time, right? Like yeah, if I put other people down, then I just look good by default. I think that's what that.
Shame. Like, if you're going to sling mud, at least do it properly.
That's why I
Is
think
he in the
like
wait, oh.
yeah,
Is he
what's
in the
that?
opposition party or is he
No,
PNM?
well, he's something.
He's opposition in Tobago, I believe.
What's the difference? I don't know anything about Trinity politics.
Well, you see, Tobago is its own thing.
Tobago is
okay.
made up of 2 seats, right? It was 2 or 4.
2. East and West.
You sure?
Yeah.
Whatever. Tobago has seats, right? Basically, he's trying to increase confidence in his party so he can win seats in Tobago instead. Because that's voting power in Parliament.
But
and
he's not UN.
tax benefits. No, he's not UNC.
Also, it was also like the deadlock in the THA that was, a thing. Is it still a thing? What's the resolution for that?
I don't know. We gotta get somebody from Tobago. Like, we have somebody from Barbados. You can more than find somebody from Tobago.
One from Bago?
But yeah,
We got Winston Duke.
like I wouldn't be surprised if like the opposition themselves start saying shit like this because this is like right up Kamala's wheelhouse.
Honestly, from the shit I've heard Kamala say, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like there's a reason why like overall confidence in the opposition has been steadily decreasing since the pandemic. It's because they are shit and they do stuff like this all the time. It's incredibly disheartening.
The little I know about Trinity politics is just when you guys had elections last year was just Kamala constantly being put into like the spotlight for saying like the worst things.
Yeah, there was the dome incident, which I still cannot believe was a real thing. Like up to now, they never explained what that meant. They just assumed that everybody would figure out what they thought they meant in their heads or something, and then they ended up changing the flyer anyways. It's like, okay, yeah.
Is it supposed to be like the NBA bubble?
No. It was supposed well, yes, kind of. I don't know. It was supposed to be like a virtual safety net thing, which makes no sense. You could have just said, let's make the Coast Guard like actually do their jobs. That makes fucking sense, because the Coast Guard turned out is useless. But yeah. This is just like, yeah. It's just a fiasco. It feels like something Kamala would say.
I feel like politics is love harassed. I feel like he also kind of feels like if I'm seen like attacking like the prime minister, then like I will get more attention.
Yeah.
And like people like come to me and like see him as like this strong guy. Because like let's be real, a lot of people don't really pay attention to like the like ins and outs of politics. A lot of people are just gonna see, oh wait, that man called out the actual prime minister. He's got balls. We need someone like that leading the country. And like
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Like for the most part in Trinidad, between the PNM and the UNC, policies across the board are mostly similar because both parties can like identify, the issues in Trinidad. Like it's not hard to. And identifying solutions is also not incredibly difficult because you can throw together something that makes sense as a solution, whether that be like temporary or permanent. Like there's always something you can do to address it, and they can always promise that they will do that thing. So when it comes down to voting, it's like, who do you believe is going to be closer to actually do anything they promised? That's what comes down to in Trinidad, I think. Because aside from, the racial divisions, which are very prevalent,
yeah,
even in 2021, but yeah, it comes down to, okay, if I'm an undecided voter, who do I trust more? Not so much which policy makes more sense to me, because it's probably going to be the same policy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's kind of similar in Barbados, except for the fact that, like, time and time again, we've kind of been shown that, like, there's just one party that's better at getting things done, while one party is kind of like had like allowed for more corruption to exist within it. And oftentimes, like DLP versus BLP debates can kind of come down to like the stupidest thing. Like I'm trying to find a video from like a little while ago. I probably won't be able to find it, but I remember it was like a few days before the election went through in the last Barbados election back in 2018, and it was a man at a DLP rally basically saying that you should not vote for Mia Motley, and his entire argument was just hinged on the fact that Mia Motley is supposedly a lesbian.
Oh
Supposedly.
God, no.
And he was basically like, I mean, there's no confirmation, but like we all know. But like genuinely,
Oh,
it was just like annoying that like this like man had like this entire discussion, and like who was like having this entire rally and was like writing up his crowd basically just on the notion that like, yeah, Mia Motley's gay, she prefers the company of women, and then like that's basically like this entire like everything, you know.
no. Whatever shall we do? It is a lesbian. We are powerless.
Hide the children.
I just because I feel like a lot of DLP there's like a lot of DLP people were like known for like saying like the dumbest things and kind of just winning based on like shit like that. So I'm kind of glad that they didn't win, but also it's just kind of dumb that like these types of things,
Yeah.
you know, keep happening. Politics is dumb. I hate politics.
Caribbean politics in particular is quite a
It's a fiasco.
quite an event.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not just like in our two islands; it's everywhere.
Anyway.
It can be kind of like from an outsider's perspective, it's kind of hilarious. But when you're actually living through it, it's not. Not
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I felt about American politics, to be fair. But I also think it's like partially the small
No,
island
no.
mentality.
American
problem with
politics is a whole other world,
Yeah.
dude.
American politics is
Fuck that.
always a spectacle. The problem is that spectacle comes to like eat you up afterwards.
No, yeah, like
Because whatever.
I would never understand like people in Trinidad who are like, why are you paying attention to American politics? That has nothing to do with us. That's just not true. It has a
Oh,
lot
God,
to do
I
with
hate
us. We are
Mhm.
directly affected by the decisions they make, whether we like it or not. Like we just can't pretend that we're not.
You cannot escape Pax Americana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you are in the
yeah.
Western world, American politics affect you. That's
That's
just
like
true.
one of the things I was saying too, because like Beatrice will just write it off and be like, "Oh, Americans stupid. We don't gotta have anything to do with them." But like, a lot of their decisions do, come back and have like a big influence on us and like the rest of the world. Like their COVID protocols do seep out into us as well because we are right there next to them, and a lot of Americans come to here, especially in
Right.
Barbados. We count on a lot of Americans to come here for tourism and everything. So it's very important that we ensure that things with them are good, so that things with us will also be good. People just don't really understand the whole concept of globalization and how interconnected the world really is, I find.
Yeah.
Yep. The very weak response with the American COVID situation did not help things with everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
and
now,
now
like,
they-
US
Mhm.
is basically like, I don't want to say the monopolize. What's the word? Monopolize? They're not monopolizing it,
For the creation of the vaccines,
but most
they
of the
had a
vaccines are going to
variety.
the US.
No,
Yeah.
but like, to create the vaccines, they had a variety of bilateral trade agreements, to fund it.
Yeah.
And one of the conditions for the agreements was that, I am giving you money. Make sure and put me at the top of the list after.
Yeah, it's not a monopoly, but it's definitely not like equal footing.
Yeah, and the problem is that like the countries that really, really need it, like the developing nations, don't have
Yeah.
money for
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah,
So they were
especially when
originally-
like the richest countries in the world are the ones that had like some of the worst responses, but they had like prioritized the vaccines. It's incredible to me.
So, I was like, a lot of them were counting. A lot of the developing nations were counting on like Indian vaccines, but now
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole other situation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, we're about halfway through. So go ahead and take a sip of water.
Mhm.
Every time I tell myself I'll put a glass of water somewhere, but I don't.
I have a bottle of water in like a dedicated place on my desk.
Oh, I have a bottle of water that I
Wow.
got from my sister because she wants me to drink more water. And actually, yeah, this is a PSA. Drink more water, guys.
Should drink more water.
Very informative and unique, Lachlan. Thank you.
Never hear that message anywhere else.
Yeah.
Don't hate, hydrate.
Hydrate before you dihydrate.
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch.
Do you want to dihydrate, Rajiv?
You really asking me that question?
I'm expecting an answer.
Back to you on that. Actually,
Well,
no.
yeah,
The semester's over. Semester's over. I don't want to hydrate.
Die. I went to a fete back in December when that was still allowed, and I was like I was with Latoya, and like I was singing along to like a bunch of songs that came on. Die by Boy came on, and she was just looking at me really weird, and I just had to be like, all of my friends are Trini.
Yes, sir.
Like the whole reason I know like certain songs is just the fact that like all of you guys, I hang out with like mainly Jacinta and Alistair, but yeah,
It's a good song. Can't help it.
We have
it's a very good
culturally,
song. I love that song.
Yeah.
we've culturally assimilated you.
Anyway,
Oh.
let me move on from COVID to talk about COVID.
Yes, sir.
So topical.
Very topical. I did not realize like just how much COVID was on the fucking thing when I was like planning this shit out. Here we are.
No, I mentioned it before.
Whatever.
Called
Mention
you
it.
out.
I didn't mention it like before we started, right?
We were going through the roster. You're like, yo, that's a lot of COVID.
No, I just said like it was segue, but then realized, oh wait, it's actually all COVID.
No, you see, that's why we should have had KL's This Day in History. Into like,
No.
We don't have KL this day in history.
Yeah, KL not even here.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know when he'll show up, but he said he'll try and come on soon.
I mean, any one of us can do This Day in History. Just reading off the Wikipedia.
We're not doing today's in history. I got talking about the keep up shit. Like, if KL,
I kind of feel like, is this something that KL would have like a lot of opinions on? Because I feel like we could just like pad the runtime and then like also like do something else.
Yeah, I was just saying like we'll leave it for the very last thing. Now we could just, kill time until he actually shows up. And if he doesn't, then maybe we'll talk about it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, like I was saying, so recently Trinidad went into lockdown again.
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
Ah,
you'll reach me just in time.
Yeah, more
All right, good
Peace,
night.
love, and happiness. What's going on? First
I
of
love you,
all,
KL. I
let me
really do.
start with the Kelly mood board. How everybody feeling?
6.
8.
6.
9. Okay, good talk, fellas. Closing remarks.
It was a good one. It was good to have you all here.
This week's thumbnail made by nobody because I forgot to ask somebody to do it.
Yes,
Wait, hold
sir.
on. Let me tell you all a story. What was I
Okay.
gonna say? Alright, yeah. I was showing my grandfather something, and then I forget he was watching the screen. I just switched the hellscape, and for those of you who don't know what in
Oh,
the
no.
hellscape right now,
Oh shit.
just naked ladies.
I just posted something inside there too. Rest in peace, bro.
Oh god.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it's fine.
that is classical Jonathan Ali behavior in Jonathan's hellscape.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to tell a Bible story.
Oh,
Do you?
KL just bringing the content down.
Yes. This is the story of Jacob and Esau, right?
Oh yeah.
They are the sons of Isaac.
This isn't the one with like Rachel?
No, this is
I don't know.
that was Jacob.
Right.
No,
So
this is after this story. Yeah, I might have told this.
you have two brothers, Jacob and Esau. Esau is the older one. He's a big man, right? He's like
right.
a whole rough, tough. He's working the fields.
He
Jacob is a mama's boy.
Okay.
Jacob is a little baby, and Isaac, on his deathbed, was like, "Let me just sign everything, all my land, which is like half of the will over to Esau because that's my son. That's my real ride or die G, right? Now Isaac was kind of blind,
Right.
so Jacob, being the mama's boy he was jealous. He was like, "Damn, I want some of that land." So he went to Isaac and he was like, "Yeah, it's me, Esau." And Isaac was like, "Huh?" But Isaac was kind of blind, so Isaac was like, "That does sound like you." And Jacob was like, "Yeah, die me, die me." And Isaac was like, "Whatever. I mean, you're feeling like Esau, because I think Esau used to wear like a coat or something, or he was just really hairy."
Really hairy.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think he was really hairy, and then Jacob was like, let me wear like a coat or something,
Wow.
but an little animal hide, Bear Grylls, and then uh, Esau walked in the room while Isaac was signing the thing over, and he was like, "So what's going on here?" And Jacob was like, "Well, you had to get off the line now." And basically, Esau running down and try to kill him. So it's like
Yeah.
a Cain and Abel story. Essentially, it's a rebranded Cain and Abel story.
Well, actually,
Repost.
no, Ken, because Esau didn't succeed.
Yeah, no,
Plot
Jacob
twist.
got to live, which was crazy.
I mean, if you
I
think
think that was
about it,
when he went on to like with the whole Rachel story.
yeah, no, but if you think about it, Jacob is the real winner because you know his name, and you name your child Jacob. You ever met anyone named Esau?
Who the
Yes.
fuck named Esau?
I have an uncle named
Yes,
Esau, actually.
I
Oh,
know
really?
someone named Esau.
Why would
Bible
they
names
name
just
them that?
because like they're old. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, biblical name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna pick a biblical name, at least pick a normal one.
It's like great uncle,
Wait,
right? Yeah.
Like
what do you mean a
if you
normal biblical name? If you
one
had to
that is
choose a
commonly
name,
used.
if you had to pick a name from a fictional storybook, I would pick the wildest one.
If you
Pick
showed
a,
me Esau, I'd ask you if that's like an island in the Bahamas.
and I would say yes.
I would pick like
What do you pick?
Ecclesiastes or something, you know? Some traffic.
Eclust?
You
Yeah.
name it.
Ecclesiastes?
Leviticus.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
You're
Nah,
gonna
I
name your
would,
child that?
Yeah.
I
Right.
would name my child like Jebediah or something.
Mordecai.
Everybody's just normal.
Jebediah.
I'd name my child like Bartholomew.
Jesus
Bartholomew is
Christ.
a very normal name.
Named my child
Jesus
Jesus
Christ, Ali.
Christ. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Ali. Yes. What happened?
Let me fucking get back on track. What are you talking about?
What were we
What
talking about?
Right, okay. So the new COVID regulations are in effect from
Yesterday.
April 30th, yesterday, and remain in effect for the next 3 weeks until May 23rd.
Right.
The biggest one that was like addressed was restaurants and bars being closed, but street food still being allowed to open. That like evoked very visceral reactions.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like I want to know like why that's the thing. Like why restaurants have to be like fully closed. They can't even do like delivery or curbside pickup. But street food
I feel as though their decision from restaurants and this second lockdown was made really hastily. I mean, okay, they had to make a quick decision, right? Because cases
Sharma, I
rising really
wasn't
fast.
done.
What?
I wasn't done, Sharma, so I was mid-sentence.
Go ahead.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, like how is street food allowed when you have to congregate in like fucking parking lots? Like it's still outside, right? But you still have to huddle around the stand because you're on the side of the road to get some. Okay, now go ahead.
Right. What was I saying?
You said it was hastily done because heat is rising.
Right, but it didn't give enough thought to it, right? Because to shut down and put people out of work for 3 weeks is a lot, especially after what the last lockdown did to the entire economy. And they could have just allowed them to like let workers be on a shift basis and do like curbside pickup
Exactly, yeah.
instead of closing stores completely. Because even for that reason, or even like maybe plenty other stores could have done the same thing. Because a lot of people move into our online platform, so people could still buy stuff, right? But like if you look at malls, like especially Trin City Mall, it's a desert. Like so many stores are closing down, and they're gonna keep closing down because they're not thinking properly about how to handle it. So like they need to, like, people crowd up so bad by a double stand and a gyro stand and all them other street foods. Like they don't know how to social distance at those places, and they just crowd up because they want their food.
Yeah.
And like I understand you would think that, you know, a double spacing is a small business and they need the help more, right? But a restaurant, yeah, okay, you could close it. But what do the people working in a restaurant? They need to be paid. And like the last lockdown, some companies gave their people who were out of work because they couldn't open. They gave them like a little like half salary or something, just something to keep them going. But you can't expect them to keep doing that every time you need to close them down.
Right.
Mhm.
Because there's just like
But then,
no, new income.
yeah, exactly. And just what is the problem with having curbside pickup? Like nobody, let's say no customers inside the store, just let people cook and sell the stuff and perform like a little transaction swap right outside the establishment. Quick, quick.
Like put out like just a folding table, put the food there, then walk away and let them pick it up, right?
Mhm.
I think it's just really unfair how they did it.
It
Yes.
definitely seems like it was not thought out that much.
Mm-mm.
But there's other shit like, all malls have to be closed. Flights to Tobago limited. The ferries are 25% capacity, stuff like that. Very heavy handed. But, like I said, there's like gaps in the logic that don't really make that much sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah. Very visceral reaction
Continuity errors.
was that?
Continuity errors.
Yeah. Basically. Season 3 lockdown.
Ready for
Yeah.
season 4?
I hope not.
Season 4 confirmed.
Do we have like any number for how many people Trinidad has vaccinated so far?
Nope.
Let me see
At
if I can
least 2.
find it real quick.
Because both my
like-
grandparents got it.
They're like 33,000 vaccines, right? So that's the maximum, no?
um
On
What's the question?
Monday of last week, I went to get the vaccine with my friends. But we went in Arima General Hospital,
Right.
and they said, "Oh yeah, we stopped walk-ins yesterday."
That's
So
very unfortunate.
rest in
me
peace.
and my 2 friends was like,
Yeah, you was
"Go die."
supposed to make an appointment though. 'Cause,
Oh,
And
Right.
yeah,
nothing
it's the
else.
appointment system. You're supposed to call and make the appointment.
well, I didn't know. My friend just picked me up in the morning. He was like, "I had to go to Arima Hospital. You busy?" And I'm like, "No, let you go." And he was like, "Oh yeah, come to get a vaccine. Like we're gonna get vaccines." And the other friend and I were like, "Excuse, like right now?" He's like, "Yeah." And we ended up not getting the vaccine, but later that evening I get a tattoo, so it works out.
It's all work out.
Show the people the tattoo.
Huh?
Show the people the tattoo.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
find
really
a
good.
picture.
Um
Also,
Yeah.
no,
anybody
no
listening,
one
right?
make fun of me. I'm brown.
If anybody
Check out
listening that's
Brazil.
interested in getting the vaccine, from what I can find is they specifically targeting over the age of 60 with or without non-communicable diseases. But people under the age of 60 are still eligible if you have an NCD.
Yeah, but also before they did that last part, above 18 could have get it
Right.
whenever, however. But now they trying to give out as much vaccine as possible. So they said they're gonna stop giving the second dose because the first dose will offer some protection, and it's better to give more people some protection than none.
Okay.
Mhm.
Which I think is kind of, I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Okay,
In
so
Not doing it like that.
for some of the ones like the Pfizer, right? The first dose is supposed to be as effective by itself as the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Damn.
Do not quote that.
Mhm.
But the Johnson & Johnson is only like, what, 70% effective or something like that?
Mhm.
So I think the numbers are
No,
working out in my head.
There's
some
like
I agree. So go ahead.
No, I was saying that I remember there was a vaccine that was supposed to be like 100. That was supposed to like give the full effect of just the first dose, but I can't remember which one that was.
I think that was Moderna. I'm not sure.
Uh,
But yeah, no. What I was saying is, yeah, some protection is better than none, obviously. But I don't know a lot about. I don't do biochem and thing, but when when you get the first one, right, the next week you get the second one, because after the first one and like the majority of the antibodies kind of die down, the next one is to kind of remind your system that
Hey, we're vaccinated.
yeah, exactly, right. So but when you get the first one, right, and you're not gonna get the second one, is there a time limit that you have to wait that you could get the second one, or like if you run out of that time limit, you had to start all over and get the first one all over again? Like that makes sense? What
No,
I'm saying?
you cannot get a first one again because kind
yeah.
of obvious reasons there.
Well,
No,
I mean, that's just
no.
go
What I
away with
mean is
it.
like
if the effectiveness of it will go down
As
over
it's like it
time.
would
long
expire
as
in
long
your
as your
entire body
no,
if you
as
want.
long as your memory cells still exist inside of you, it should be okay.
Then
So
you could get
once you
the
don't
second dose
like
at any time
yeah,
Yeah.
once you
after.
I mean like they probably calculated what's the most efficient break between doses, but
Mm.
and yeah, as
Okay.
you like, it's not going to be something ridiculous like yes, because obviously your immune system degrades over time. And you can also get a variety of fun and exciting diseases that destroy your memory cells, which essentially resets your immunity.
Like
Fun.
lupus.
Nice.
And
No,
exciting.
no, no, that's different. KL. That's an
Oh no,
autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
that
So
was
that's
a
caused by your immune system having antibodies to your internal system. It's the medication that does that for autoimmune diseases.
so what was the one that destroys it? Was it not like tetanus or something?
What's the
Mm,
question?
tetanus is muscular.
What
Measles,
destroys memory cells?
Okay.
measles will do that.
Speaking of tetanus, I never went for a booster shot. I just got my first shot when I was like now born, and I have not gotten.
You're supposed to get on when you're 10 and 20, like every 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Yeah, stay clear of rusty nails. And you can.
It's not just rusty nails. It's a
Oh,
lot
okay,
more than
but
rusty nails.
yes, I know, but it's the easiest thing to just say when everybody will understand what I mean by rusty nails.
I'm just
Kill.
arguing
Oh,
about random fucking diseases now.
how all you feel about smallpox?
Just
No,
what?
no.
Never
I
had it.
don't feel any. I don't. Yeah, we don't want it.
Yeah.
Smallpox?
Kill you.
I like
Anyway.
big pox. Wait, no,
You like what?
nothing.
I
We had like
see.
50 minutes right now. Y'all just want to like move on and talk about the K-pop shit and then wrap up.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Hey,
Yes.
okay. So to preface this, there was the
Send it to
original tweet, and then there was the reply to the original tweet. The original tweet I don't really care about, but for context, it was something like, right, BTS doesn't make good music. Their success is the product of mass brainwashing
yeah.
and aggressive marketing. I don't care about that. The response was K-pop, K-beauty, etc. are all South Korean government-funded propaganda.
Oh.
There was significant backlash to that comment. But, like, I don't disagree with it. KL, Rajiv, Meet also were there at the time when we were talking about it. We didn't disagree with it. Sharma,
This
you
is
came
true.
in and you disagreed with it, right?
After y'all explained, then I agreed. Then I
Yeah,
agreed.
because people took it at face value.
Yeah, they just
That
saw the word
Which is what
propaganda,
I
I
did.
feel, and just
because
reacted.
she thought no, people thought that she was being like disrespectful and racist, which she's not.
That was no way racist or
Oh no,
xenophobic.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I saw people turn on
That was
to
not it.
xenophobic, and just because you're criticizing something about another country doesn't mean it's coming from a place of hate, right? That is, you're throwing around bigotry like way too easily there.
Do you know the funny thing is a lot of K-pop stans are like, whenever something happens in any fandom, anyone like one subset, they'd be like, yeah, never be afraid to call out your own idols.
Like,
Never be afraid to call out somebody in a group. And it's like, so why we can't just call out Korea for the blatant exploitation of these people? Huh?
Yeah.
okay, yeah, like let me like get back to the root, right? So she's saying it's
Can you find
propaganda.
like the actual tweet that like you guys are discussing? Because I wasn't here for this discussion.
I'm gonna put in the chat. I don't want to put in the podcast chat itself, right? So I'll just put
Okay.
in the Evans one.
How does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wait, but and she's screen recording.
right, that's why I put in the Evans one on the podcast chat.
He has his phone, Sharma.
Oh yes, you have a phone. Okay.
I do have a phone. Like
Yes,
90% of the human population.
Oh, they're government funded?
Oh, you just making up numbers now, huh?
I am. Source, I made it up. Anyways,
Wait, is it actually true that they're government funded though?
think so.
And we can't just be like, it takes so. Is it or is it not?
K-pop isn't, because I mean, okay, there are companies like
Yeah.
every company is supposed to be privately owned.
Mhm.
Oh,
But
the Korean government has been known to support the K-pop industry financially, including the creation of a 1 billion fund to help support the industry back in 2005.
yeah,
Well,
I'm not going to check the credibility of that article. Take it at face value.
you know what? I feel like the South Korean government is missing a brilliant opportunity to have like a national K-pop group.
Hold on.
that's just BTS, bro.
No. Like a group for the government.
That just said about the
Oh.
government.
Yeah, like communicate
Honestly, I fuck
policy.
with the idea.
Yeah, communicate policy to the people through a K-pop or through a boy band.
I would fucking listen to that.
The leader is just President Moon.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of want to hear like what you guys' things on this were. 'Cause I
Right,
wasn't there for that.
Let me
discussion.
like rehash the argument. So like Rajiv, you go first because you had like one of the more potent ones.
Yeah, you were smart with it.
Tell them. All right. Yeah, it was just like
Hard power, soft power.
propaganda. Yeah, and propaganda by itself is like not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a government trying to communicate an idea to people and that they want people to believe, right?
Yeah.
And like Korea's main export is, well, not their main export. They have a lot of
Their
industry.
main cultural export.
Yeah, their more cultural export is K-pop, and like they've done remarkably well with it.
Yeah, it is
Very,
obviously
very well.
successful.
In the recent years.
Yeah. So it's kind of So I'm not going to explain hard power and soft power on this podcast because we have like what 5 minutes.
No, like
But
we can
yeah,
go over
this-
if we talk
we
about
can
this
go over
because
when
it's
you
like
want.
actually interesting, right?
But yeah, by exporting their culture, they're increasing their standing in the world because they're basically cementing themselves in the global consciousness as we are South Korea. This is what we do.
We make that catchy music with the people that do the dancing.
We are not a threat.
Please detach like all ideas you have about Korea, like separate them between North and South.
You should no, I don't like talking about separating with Korea. You're gonna start some arguments there.
do not forget that we send every man over the age of 18 to the military.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's pretty important for them. Soft power, it's cultural power, and yeah, it is government funded. It's a very major industry. Of course, they're going to try and help it. So I think it fits propaganda pretty well.
Government funded according to that one random article that like popped up in my Google search that I did
No,
not
I mean
check.
it's a massive industry. Of course, they would like do something to support it.
Right.
Mhm.
My
Have you
whole
all seen?
was that?
Go on.
Yeah,
No,
my whole
go
thing was that the image is like so heavily regulated, right, by like so many different parties. Like, how much input do the artists themselves actually have?
None.
I don't
None
know,
whatsoever.
but like, I don't have a problem if it's none, but it's like, I can't look at that and assume that something isn't going on with that, right?
No, 'cause- oh, sorry, KL. No, you go ahead.
I was talking.
That was
Oh,
Rajiv.
who was talking?
That was Rajiv.
Rajiv. Someone go ahead.
Like, you know, multiple people are influencing this product.
Mhm.
Those people are completely detached. Well, not completely detached, but they are not the artists,
Yes.
right? And like KL was talking about exploitation when we were talking about this last night. How like
Mhm.
exploitative they are with the idols, and like
Mhm.
just how much regulations you have to abide by. And it
Mhm.
reminded me of how record labels and like group managers in America in like the 90s and the 2000s acted. That's like South Korea's present. Right? The
Yeah.
shit that we thought the music industry like progressed past already. And like because of that, I think it's important to distinguish between enjoying something and like still being able to acknowledge the shitty things that happened to produce the thing that you enjoyed.
Like chocolate.
I guess. Yeah.
All
Thanks,
right.
Nestle.
Nestle and their war crimes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But basically, like, yeah, you may like a Taylor Swift song, but you know, that Taylor Swift song was produced by a record label that was really shitty to Taylor Swift, right?
Mhm.
That's just something that happens. You don't have to actively acknowledge it every time you listen to, you know, whatever Taylor Swift song you're listening to. But don't pretend that that just isn't a thing, because it is. Like shitty things
Yeah.
can be involved with the things that you like.
Yeah, like the K-pop industry is so it goes a lot deeper than what people
Mhm.
what people see, right? Because like when you start off as a trainee in a company, they are paying for everything that you do, and you have to pay back that debt. And the only way to do that is to debut in a group and to like work. So for about the first 5 years or so, you just really not making any money. Like the company's still paying for stuff, so it's just accumulating debt, and you you still have to work past all that just to survive.
Oh. Like for me, that's a big. Wait, am I still connected?
Yeah, you're here, you're
Yes,
Yeah,
I
here.
am.
you are.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's just my thing does that. But yeah, for me, that's the main reason I never really like. For now, especially, I really refuse to get like involved with K-pop because I was talking to a friend of mine that used to be more of a K-pop stan, and she was explaining to me like more of like the intricacies of like the right limitations that are put on them. Like the main one that stuck with me was the fact that K-pop idols aren't allowed to date,
Yeah.
and for me,
Mhm.
because like to me, it's both like I hate it because it's really predatory on, of course, like the actual like people involved with it. Because like KL just said, there's like a lot of corruption in terms of like how these idols are like treated, how overworked they are, and whatnot. And then it's also just the fact that they are very much like human commodities in a way where they're packaged up in like this neat little like with this like neat little boat and like sent out to the world. And I just yeah, I don't feel comfortable around that because to me it's like I know fangirls, you know, like I spent time on the internet, I watch anime, I know fangirls, I've seen fangirls. And I feel like K-pop stans to me are like they're like this weird middle ground between people who stand fictional characters and people who stand like boy bands and like those types of music and stuff, right? Because like if you like the main thing I remember this is like from my childhood when like the whole Justin Bieber thing was like really big, he was dating Selena Gomez and there was like all that hate she got.
Yeah.
It's basically like take that, like take the amount of levels that people had for him already from just being a kind of attractive like pop star, and then take that with like fictional character levels of ambiguity. This kind of calls back like that weird argument I had with Sharma on the timeline that was kind of just me memeing around. But like genuinely, the thing about like standing fictional characters, which I think stretches into like standing K-pop idols in general, is that they're very selective with the amount of information you reveal about those people. And it's basically given enough so that you give people like all the good parts of it. And on top of that, by restricting them from being able to date, you make them seem more attainable. So any person, like any young girl, can like look at that and be like, oh yeah, like I want like, you know, it's like the same attraction you could feel to a fictional character, and like the same way people like defend those fictional characters. Except now it's worse because they're real people, and now people have that vision in their head of, oh, this is actually someone who can like see me and who can like possibly know I exist. And I feel like it's very much built on like building that whole like dependence among its fans
Yeah.
that feels really toxic to me. And you can really like it's I think that's a big part of the reason that like a lot of K-pop fans are like known for being really like, you know, really like violent, really toxic. that kind of thing, is because it's very much built to attract those types of people that would fixate on like these boys like this that are basically like real life fictional characters.
Yeah,
And it doesn't sit well with me.
like, what happens like mentally for you to go through that sort of process?
Who knows?
How do you end up like this?
Speaking of though, right? I just want to see to preface what I'm going to see next. Like I'm ambivalent about K-pop. KL likes K-pop. Sharma,
You used to? Is that
I
right, Sharma?
used to.
Rajiv.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it. I don't like. I'm not
I,
obsessed over it.
I
but,
have
you
no
know.
beef with it. I don't like Blackpink, but that's like the extent of it. Lachlan, you just said you don't listen to it at all.
I don't like. I never really got into it before, and then when I found out more about the industry, I now kind of like boycott it.
Yeah, so none of us have like any like serious beef with K-pop outside of Lachlan for aforementioned reasons.
Yeah.
But I found it incredibly funny. Like, if you may remember a second ago, I said that the original tweet, that the tweet that we talking about replied to, said that the product of BTS's success was because of aggressive marketing and the keyword brainwashing. That I didn't necessarily agree with.
Mhm.
But the thing about K-pop stans is that they immediately feel the need to defend their groups from any criticism, whether it's like valid, invalid, or just somebody saying or like offering a contrary opinion. They will immediately feel the need to like jump out and, you know, try and prove you wrong about your subjective opinion, I guess. And it was so
Yeah.
incredibly funny that in a tweet saying that BTS brainwashes people, a bunch of people are like, no, you're wrong, fuck you. And yeah, their success is because, you know, they're like grassroots. They did it themselves, and I'm like, what the fuck you like? Do you
Yeah.
like
It's just not
read the words you type in? Like, I didn't believe the tweet, but now, like, I still don't, but you're making me consider this a little more. You know?
Nah, like, I kind of believe it slightly because it's not so much that they themselves are brainwashing people into liking them.
Mhm.
It's just I don't know.
It's like
It's not
It's like
brainwashing.
a peer
Yeah,
pressure
I don't think
sort
they're
of.
brainwashed. I think, you know, they're just
They
very
make
fervently fans of the group, right?
no,
No,
I
no.
don't. It's not like
They make-
direct brainwashing. I think. I
Yeah.
think it's legit. Just what I was saying before. Where like they know how to like selectively present those people to attract those types of fans.
And yeah, maybe like people
Yeah.
just send themselves down the rabbit hole, I guess.
No, like
Yeah.
making a boy band is a science. Like, you have to decide the rules before the optimum spread of characters. It's pretty impressive, actually.
Unless you're Brockhampton, then you just throw a dozen people in a house and just fucking make
Okay, they
music
just
all
kind
day.
of like met on like an online forum, and that is why we stand Brockhampton.
Best boy bands in
They were
One
just some
Direction.
dudes.
Literally just some
Yeah.
dudes who like just start living in a fucking house.
It was literally just a bunch. That's also a very slight, like weird, like tangent. But like one of the reasons that I appreciate Brockhampton more than most boy bands is I feel like, again, boy bands are very much like an industry level type thing where it's just you kind of throw all these boys together, you give them a really recognizable song, but like they're more so like meant to be attractive based on like the actual like personalities and like the inner workings of like the group itself. Like you still see One Direction stands like freaking out over Harry Styles and Louis or whatever. But like, oh wait, I forgot the point I was making. But like, yeah, it's like I never really like boy band music in itself because it feels like you can very much tell that it's just people that are made to display something because like they're attractive and because they're marketable versus Brockhampton where I appreciate them because they're like an actual collective and you can see that each of them has like equal parts in like the creation of their music. Random Brockhampton appreciation, but yes.
Yeah. Stan Brockhampton.
Dan Brockhampton.
I
Okay.
wanna. Hey, wolf. Okay.
Hey,
I wanna like.
careful with that on this podcast, Lachlan. You call some people out.
I wanna. Like I was just thinking about something Lachlan said earlier about this like perfect idea of idols.
Mhm.
And I remember an example of a group called Super Junior, where one member had to leave the group because he had a girlfriend. Like the fans in quotation marks of the group forced him to leave because he had a girlfriend, and now he's married
Yeah.
to her. Like that's so crazy. How could you claim to love something so much and then force one of the members to leave because they have a girlfriend who, like, okay, the guy wasn't even gonna know you. Like the guy probably would see you on the shit and be like, "Hi, he's my fan or whatever," right?
Maybe
They
sign
would-
something, maybe take a picture.
Yeah, they wouldn't like drop everything and be like, "Oh my god, you are the one." Especially because like they have so much fans, They need to like get out their head that it's like a power difference, right?
Mhm.
They don't know you. You are just a fan.
Yeah.
Like you would never have any like personal relations unless something happens.
That is like a whole other discussion.
Yeah, you meet them at the bus stop and they just like, "Hi," and they're like, "Oh, hey girl, how you going?"
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also never going to happen because, yeah.
Yeah, why would they be at a bus stop, bro? Like they have their own cars.
It's also just the fact that I feel like people like the types of people who become that kind of like toxic like fan base are very much people who you can kind of tell have kind of like a limited, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like their perception of like things like attachment and whatnot isn't going to be like as strong as like a regular person or like as
Limited
strong
perception.
yeah, I guess that's what I'm looking at. As in, just like they don't understand like the real world, I guess, and they're very much looking through it for like this lens which would lead them to like idealize someone that they've never met before and believe that this person is perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just the fact that it does kind of prey on people who specifically have those kinds of weaknesses and like psychological can be conceived as having like psychological issues that kind of like definitely doesn't sit with me.
That was a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
Let me get close to the
therapy.
remarks. Rajiv.
Yeah, we went through quite a lot this time. It was
We went through
alright.
COVID and K-pop. We went through two things.
No, but like we also had a couple of free rambling sessions. I think we should include more of those.
Okay, well,
Those are the
Lachlan, go ahead.
Honestly, when we were talking about K-pop, it very much reminded me of how like we were talking about toxicity with K-pop and how it reminded me of toxicity in religion when we were discussing that whole story. But you know what? It's just like the same level of like toxic attachment. I feel like
The
that leads to people. Okay,
the heart
like
of it.
Okay.
Sorry, Lachlan. I cut you
no,
off. It's
I was
your
just
time.
saying like I think what struck that chord for me was when someone had mentioned that like because like K-pop stans will like refuse to have like any criticism of like their favorite group or whatever, and it's to me like the same way where like those overly religious people will like refuse to have like any criticism of like Christianity and how like I feel like again it's like how people can't separate like K-pop from like the K-pop industry and like K-pop and like South Korea in general. They'll like bundle all those together. It's in the same way where people will like discuss like the whole concept of like God with spirituality, with religion and following religious rules, and all that gets bundled together as well.
Okay,
The,
closing remarks.
What did we all talk about before I came?
Oh,
COVID.
COVID.
Just COVID.
Oh, okay.
And corrupt
we talked about
religion.
something else too. There was
My
a Barbados
cousin-
story.
That was COVID.
Ooh,
That was also COVID.
That was
spicy.
COVID related.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, my mistake.
My closing remarks. The K-pop industries heavily skewed. COVID is also heavily skewed. The COVID industry.
Sharma, closing remarks, please.
Are y'all a Johnson & Johnson stand or Moderna stand?
Sharma, closing remarks, please.
Wear a mask and don't cough in people's mouth, please.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, we're getting with it today. Rajiv, quick.
Nah, I don't have that prepared.
You literally had it prepared.
Oh, I do have it prepared. Never mind.
You piece of shit.
God.
Yeah, no, I have to bring it up. The tab. Right, cool. Recession. I got this with
Topical.
a random word, the random word generator. So I think it's a bit foreboding. Right. So recession in the modern sense, which is the economic sense, right? A period of reduced economic activity. This itself comes from 1640s, the act of receding going back from French, a similar word, recession. I didn't pronounce it right. Also meaning going back or withdrawal. Ultimately from Latin, recessionem, a nominative of recessio, which is going back. And from that, to get that, we need re, which is back, and sedere, which is to go. So it all makes perfect sense why recession means what it does today. It's just going back, except
Thank you.
in the context of the economy.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you.
The
It's
closing
been a
remarks.
while. Yeah, it's been a while since we had a word of the day. But yeah, I'll just say this week's thumbnail has not been made. I was supposed to ask Kelly to do it. Kelly is not here. So
Does Kelly have time to do it?
yes, school is done for us.
Well, yeah,
We have-
semester done.
Kelly has a lot of time.
Yeah, no, Kelly free until September.
Oh, where?
Yeah, we'll talk about off screen. Rajiv, you want to do this week's one?
Yeah, sure, I have time.
Okay, cool. I will just say then. Otherwise, like you can still like K-pop, right? Like that's. I'm not saying like stop listening to it like Lachlan is, but
Yeah, like I wouldn't tell him to stop listening to it. Like if you already like it, it's just I have issues that prevent me from enjoying it because I think too much about things.
I think there's a universal fact of modern art that inevitably there's going to be some unsavory elements that lead to the production of the things you like. That doesn't necessarily have to prevent you from enjoying those things. It just means don't pretend as if it's not there. That's all. Because it's there. You don't have to actively acknowledge it all the time, but it's there. Anyways, with that being said, we'll see you next week. This has been BTA Podcast episode number 32. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, that is the wrong button.
Stop brawling.
Everybody here, good night. Can you cut? Okay. Yeah, we good.
Good night, good night.
And cut.